I'm a therapist. I work with clients, with people who are in distress, and in very intimate conversations, very intense conversations, usually when they're at the crossroads of their lives. So, and I have been there many times myself. My childhood was shaped by three very exceptional women. The first one, my grandmother, who's a literature teacher, taught me how to love unconditionally. My psychologist mother, who showed me it was possible to laugh despite burdens and struggles. And my beautiful, vibrant sister, who showed me it was possible to have a steely nerve and resolve in a very compassionate heart. And other women followed later on, and other experiences. The first one, Üsküdar Mikan, my mother's alma mater, where I learned to be myself, the hardship of being myself, and also value of being myself. And then a wonderful AFS exchange year in the US when I was 16. That was great adventure. Then Boğaziçi University, psychology department, followed by a job in Unilever. Marriage at 23, working in Russia and Romania, Benkizer. And then I came back to Turkey. I'm 27 by then, slightly worn out from my adventures. The new lease of life came with the birth of my son, Yiğit. And when he was 3 months old, yet again, with my husband's work, we moved to London once more. A new chapter began for me in London. I started studying psychotherapy. I left all my business interests and I started studying psychotherapy in Tavistock Centre, infamous Tavistock Centre in London. And it gave me a job that I love doing every day, so I'm thankful for it. Another child followed, then a very successful business in Canary Wharf, reframe counseling in Canary Wharf and Berkeley Square, with wonderful 2 women, my partners. And by now I'm 36. My age 37 was a very eventful year, so I go in decades in a way, but this time it kind of a decade happened in 1 year. I managed to squeeze a cancer diagnosis, 6 months of therapy, chemotherapy, and a divorce to 1 single year. And when I was 36, 2 years ago, I moved back to the city that I love, where my heart and soul genuinely belongs to. And I started since then, since I came back, I work in my private practice in Levant with couples, individuals, and groups. I volunteer with charities and some groups as well. So many crossroads. I went through it very briefly. And add the ones that I witnessed in my therapy room, thousands and thousands of them. Actually, I thought at one point I should be able to write a manual. I could do better than that. I have 4 pointers that I want to talk about crossroads in general. One, after all this experience and all this crossroads that I've been through, I recognized, actually, most of the time we don't know which crossroads we are, if we are at a crossroad or not. Let me give you an example about this. The office worker wakes up one morning, decides not to go to work or go to work late, and actually that office worker turns out to be working in the Twin Towers, and the day turns out to be 9/11, like today, 12 years ago in 2001. So it's a very minor decision, but it is the crossroad of her life, really. So in a way, we don't know. So it is joyous to think every moment of a life can be a crossroad after all. So what do we do when the crossroad comes loud and clear? I mean, there are weighty life events like choosing a husband, getting married, children, work, jobs, moving countries. So in a way, at that point, you know you're at a crossroad. Hopefully, we just need to do our homework. All our heart, all our wisdom, all our analytical thinking, all our experience, hopefully goes into it, and we take responsibility for that. So there is work to be done at a crossroad as well. It's not just, doesn't just happen. Third, you took the decision, you kind of embarked on it. But I think the third point is more important than any. Usually we wobble. We can't decide if we made the right decision. We go back, we check, we lose so much time, so much heartache. But actually, have we made the right decision is one of the most futile questions ever. Because we can't really take back time and go back to that specific time and start the specific sequence of events ever again. So the question, have I made the right choice, is arbitrary. All answers are arbitrary, and it can never be answered. So in a way, it's important to know. You'll never know. Fourth is about the roads not taken. It cripples us when we have a lot of choices. It cripples us to know that we won't be able to take the other road. It has in itself such a sense of loss. We procrastinate, we get preoccupied, and usually, and unfortunately, it interferes with the enjoyment and actually the accomplishment of the choice we make or the road we want to take. So in a way, the craft of going through crossroads effectively, if there's anything like that in life, is to be able to let go of the other alternatives, having the wish to do that, having the capacity to do that, but not only let go of them, but let go of them confidently and also gracefully. I think those two words are really, really important, and they give the motivation and fuel to going through life and hoping, keeping hope. I want to go back to grace and confidence. It's very difficult to summon them from nowhere. I was just thinking when I was writing this, why do I have confidence in the decisions I make, whatever they are? Why do I want to do them gracefully? And I went back and remembered one memory from when I was 14. And actually it kind of gave me an idea of where that motivation came from. And I think that confidence, I'll talk about it now, but the confidence and grace actually comes from a pure love of life, sheer love of life, just for the sake of it. Let me tell you the story. I'm 14. I'm crying at the kitchen table. I'm sitting with my grandmother. I feel betrayed by my school friend. Something horrible has happened. I can't even remember what it was now. But I'm really and truly devastated. So she listened to me very calmly, and then she said, very softly, Denizciğim, it will pass. Something new will begin. She said it so confidently, in such a believing way. I stopped and looked at her, and maybe first time I saw her not as my grandmother only, a very loving grandmother at that, but as a woman who went through a great love story, divorce, marriage, children, a very good career, poverty, jail sentences, children, birth of children, loss of children, a lot of grateful students. And I looked at her and I thought, at any of these junctions, how did she know something good would come out of it? How did she know life was going to turn out fine? What gave her the motivation when any of the roads looked horrible? What gave her the drive to go on? And I think at 14, I recognized, looking at my grandmother's example, I recognized that it was actually pure love of life. She was a very joyous woman. She took life very seriously and joyfully. So I think that's part of the lesson about life for me. And actually, this true love of life and my grandmother's guidance in a way guided me through one of the most difficult decisions I made. I had to make a lot of decisions, small, important, not important, but one affected not only me, but also the people around me, especially my children. 2.5 years ago, I want to remind you, it's just after the chemo, I'm divorced after 15 years of marriage. I'm in a city that I made my own, actually, at that point, with a very good job, very good schools for my kids. And I stopped and thought, I want to do something else. And actually, at a very low point in my life, I managed to gather up the energy and motivation to be able to come back to Istanbul with my 2 kids. Do I know if it was the right decision? Going back to my own rules, I'll never know. Maybe life in London would have been marvelous. But so far, so good. I have a thriving business. I love a job. I do a job I love still. My kids are happy. And a city of my heart welcomed me with chaos and protests and everything. So far, so good. Life happens to us in a very unpredictable way and a chaotic way. There is no rhyme, there is no rhythm, no divine justice. World does not give us what we get in a meaningful, consequent manner. World and our share in it hardly make sense. Things happen to us mostly out of our control. Sounds horrible, I know. But do we despair? Do we let it be? Not really. The realization at that point, that an acceptance that the world is an uncertain, uncontrollable, unpredictable place, gives the power back to us. If we can accept that, then actually we have power. We can concentrate on things that we have power on. The most important being our reactions, ourselves and our reactions. Life and world doesn't make sense. But the inspiring part comes here. Actually, people do. People's souls make sense. We shape our life stories by the way we react to the random life events. If we have integrity, at least an aspiration for integrity, or a wish for a coherent self, we search and make meaning in the light of our values, raw emotions, family histories, etc., etc. Who am I? Who do I want to be through these reactions? Why did I react unexpectedly? Have I changed in my values and emotions? These are what people grapple with in my therapy room and what I grapple with in life. This ongoing discourse is what helps us live and write a meaningful life story. The story of a life that can grow, evolve coherently and creatively. Trying to change what happened or might happen is futile and very hard indeed. But our wise souls can flourish, grabbing life, taking responsibility for our actions and reactions. We can embody the life we live in with joy and necessary melancholy, only if we know ourselves intimately, of course. So we are not really destined by what happens to us. So I'm not defined by the CV I have, the life story I have. I'm not defined, or you are not, any of us, we're not defined by parents, illnesses, accidents, social events, disagreeable bosses, exams, Fickle friends, immature men. No, our destiny is written by us in how we welcome life, how we manage life, how we understand life. Hopefully with joy of life and grace. So, thank you.